good day, a very good evening to all of you guys. Right, I'm here with you today. My name is Leo, as what you see. A very good evening to all of you, right? And welcome to today's webinar, which we will be talking about cybersecurity. So under the context of Human Development Week, right? So thank you for taking your time out there and being here with me. Right, so let me share my screen and then we can start off quickly. Just give me a quick moment. All right. Okay. So let me put it this way. Right. Today, business is more digital than ever that we can imagine. In this very landscape, most of the businesses are taking the paradigm shift over digital medium. We used to do business in a very different form. Now, with the help of internet, with all the smart technologies going on, we are moving towards the digital era. One of those elements that enables the speed, certainty, and opportunity is what we are focusing in today's world. So creating a digital trust to carry out business transactions in a safe manner, in a secure manner, ethical, reliable manner, will somewhat prevent vulnerabilities from exploding. Is that what we think? Yes, indeed. But then, as what we know, this is our current challenge in this digital era. This format underlies within the CIA triad of what we call confidentiality, integrity, and availability, right? So I want to take a moment with you and let me bring you to watch what is going on the other side of the cyber world, right? Let's take a moment and watch this video.
You don't know these people, but they've spent the last 10 months getting to know everything about you, your colleagues, and your company. They've been quietly scanning and mapping your networks, collecting credentials, and identifying the critical data they want to exploit, all without being noticed. Until today.
Three.
Dalawa.
Natin. Boom.
Hey, you about ready to get out of here?
No, another exciting night of event triage and analysis.
Sounds thrilling. Try not to have too much fun.
Yeah.
Hey, have a good weekend.
You too. Hey, Meg. Before you go, did you see this email from the cyber threat intel provider?
Wait, what?
Wait, let me check some SIM logs.
Is this accurate?
Who disabled the log feed from the server? All the IDSs are down too.
Yeah, you need to get Reynolds on the phone. Now!
I promise, I'm leaving now. I'm sorry, I got tied up. I know the reservations are at 8. Don't worry, I'll be there. Honey, I'm gonna have to call you back. What's wrong?
Bruce, this looks like a major compromise. The cyber threat intel provider found a sample of our data for sale on the dark web. As I was going to confirm the sample, I found that the IDSs and the logs are down.
Yeah, it gets worse. Our public-facing websites are going offline. Employee data, client data, email servers, account numbers. It's all up for sale to the highest bidder if we don't pay now. What do you want us to do? Bruce, what do you want us to do?
Checkmate.
Go to severity level 1. Recall the team. I want forensics all over this. I'll notify leadership and meet you in the SOC. got a long night ahead of us.
All right, so we saw what we had to see, yeah? Right. The question is now leading towards this question. Why you really need to worry about cybersecurity? So this is the common question that's been raised around the globe. And do we have the answer for this? So this is the question that we want to brainstorm a bit today, and looking the vulnerabilities and so many other aspects of it. Now, most industries are dependent on the use of computers and internet to conduct their businesses, right? So on the other hand, hackers accessing the control system, right, as the main target, then lead them to significantly damage what they wanted to damage, or bring the downtime as what they intend to bring to businesses. So with an unlimited amount of applications, namely mobile devices, smart devices, computers, right, network devices, attacks has grown high sky. So this is what we are saying with the statistic that around the globe, and in fact, including Malaysian context, right? As we look in Cyber News, right, the global research statement that released back in 2018 versus the 2020, it was reported that every 39 seconds, there is a hacker attempts to attack our network. Imagine, every 39 seconds. It's not 39 minutes, 39 seconds every single day. As we speak now, attacks are being done. Packet Labs, latest stats this month, August release, right? They have released a statement. They are expecting that cybercrime is expected to cost the world approximate 6 trillion USD. By 2025, the figure is going to climb to 10.5 trillion. So imagine the damages that we are looking at, right? So 43% of cybersecurity relevance attacks targeting small businesses, SME businesses. If we were to break this 43%, right, into the context of the type of attacks happening around the globe, we are talking about web-based attacks, social engineering, phishing, right, malicious code, botnets, DOS attack. So equally, they are all above 50%, 50% high rate of people are becoming vulnerable. Whereas in the Malaysian context, right, according to the press release released last year, July 2020, right after we hit on the pandemic, right, from March, April, May, June, July, just 5 months, right? The cases where Malaysians suffered losses amounting up to 2.2 billion from the cybercrime. This was collected since 2017. In fact, it's total of 2.2 billion cases. Now, the recorded information through our police was 67,000 over crimes when it comes to internet, cyber relevance matters, up to June 2020. This is just last year record that we are looking at. Now, this amount is so huge. Large number of companies claiming to help to stop the cybersecurity attacks. But is it happening? The question is it happening? Because it's been difficult for them to keep up with the evolving technology, evolving way of the hackers accessing the data, penetrating the network, doing all sort of harmness, right? So these are the things that we couldn't avoid. We couldn't keep up with the trend. We couldn't keep up with the nature of how being attacked. So thus, we should take a pause and re-examine the context of cybersecurity, because it is now a global priority towards the cybercrime. Agree? So this is what we are looking at. So now, on next, what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you something that relevance towards this worry that what we're talking about. Right? The danger of the cyber world. We are talking about the danger of cyber world. How many of us realize what we are getting ourselves into when it comes to internet, when it comes to cyber world? Let me run through the danger that out there. The basic lack of security awareness causing us a lot of disruption, right? Individuals need to be educated. The danger that exists in the cyber world. But to what extent, to what many percentage are we exposed to the knowledge of this cybersecurity? Now you may be asking, you may be wondering, is cybersecurity relevant to me? I'm just an ordinary person who works in an HR. I'm an ordinary person who works in a marketing department. Does it apply? Yes, indeed. All of us, every single one of us, we are affected. The moment you pick your mobile phone, you get connected to the network, you are vulnerable, including me. We are absolute vulnerable. The question is, are we there in the eye of hackers, right? So having the vulnerabilities that, it's going to be affected. So it's going to affect your environment, or is it going to be affecting your personal data, going to be compromised whatsoever, etc., etc. So this is where we are looking at all those aspects of dark web, right? So when we talk about a dark web, it's a subset of a deep web that intentionally hidden from our network, from our internet, so-called the internet. So what we are looking towards the internet is nothing what we see, what's going on in the dark web, right? Now, this requires a specific browser. It's not like an ordinary browser like how me and you use to access. It's not the Chrome. It's not the Firefox. It's not this Opera. It's not any other browser. Then there's one browser called Tor. Some of you would have known to it, right? To access this environment. But it's very dangerous, right? Do not try at home. Okay, do not try. Okay. No one really knows the size of the dark web, but it estimates approximate around 5%, approximate 4 to 5% of total internet, right? So this is what we are looking at. Now let me put it this way. I'll show you this, right? So look at this screen. This is how it looks like. Imagine what you're seeing here, the web that we serve day-to-day basis, the Google, the Facebook, the YouTube, and so, right? It is just a surface of what we are looking at. The deep, as you go, this is where the dark web lays. Through this Onion Tor browser, you get to access this environment, right? And all this illegal activity takes place here. What are the type of illegal activities that you can think of? Name it. You want to hire a hitman? You can find that in the dark web. You want to find anyone's credit card information? Yes, you can buy. You can pay approximately like 50 USD to purchase 5,000 worth of credit in that credit card. Now you will be wondering, now what are people doing about this? Not just that, right? Child abuse, right? That's called Red Room. You may want to just surf the net, Google what is Red Room is all about. It's a place where people pay money to watch people being tortured, being killed. It's like beyond our imagination. Kids are being kidnapped. Where are they going? Where are they placed? What are they doing to them? Dark web, right? So many illegal things. You want to buy drugs? You can do it. But all these sites are not indexed. So 90% not being indexed. So imagine. So what we are serving is just a very surface level. So this is what's going on. This is what we call the dark web. Now, just not that limited towards the dark web. We are looking the activities going on the internet. People are falling for scams, right? When somebody sends you an email and you click on it, download a link or download an attachment, you might think that you are safe. Oh, it's just an attachment, but no. That's the beginning. There will be bugs sitting in your environment, within your network or within your machine, and it's going to send the details, the information to its master, the creator. And that information is going to be used for someone to take advantage of the needs. That's how ransomware happens, right? Private information being leaked. You and me, we might be keeping sensitive information on our machines, but then suddenly it will be sold for some other needs. So therefore, please adhere to those, right? Please adhere to those situations. Okay, right. So here, I'm going to put a stop for a moment for you to think about the crime going on the web, right? So take a moment to think about that, and let us continue shortly later after this session. Right. Well, okay. So let's look into the next topic. That what I want to play is a short video as well. But before I play that short video, right, I want to just give you some insight about this particular attack. That's what's going on. So now, most of you might have not might have not heard this so-called zero-day attack, but to some of you might have known to it, zero-day attack. What is this zero-day attack that you think of? You can imagine, right? So imagine zero-day attack is a moment that where you have not discovered any of this virus that's going in out of a network throughout the globe. So that is what we call the zero-day attack till it's found, right? So if let's say there's an antivirus has been found for as a solution to this type of a virus, then it is no longer defined as zero-day attack. So there will be virus definitions formed, and to prevent all this type of vulnerabilities over the network. So now zero-day attack is a place, I mean, it's a moment of where hackers are building something big to penetrate your network, to attack your environment, right? So me and yourself, you imagine you were to be sitting at home and operating your machine, not knowing what is going on in your machine. You might be wondering your machine is running slow, right? In actual fact, there might be someone is using your machine as a botnet and injecting malicious code to perform a greater attack at one point of time. So this is what we're going to look at in this short video. Let's give our attention to this video and see what you observe, right? Let me play this.
You have taken great care to secure your network. But even with responsible and sustained investments in your defenses, you're still at risk. Attackers can bypass your security through an uncharted software vulnerability, a loophole revealed only by the persistent probing of a determined hacker. This is how a network is breached. This is how valuable data is stolen. This is zero-day. A zero-day is a software vulnerability that is previously unknown and unpatched, and therefore can be exploited by a threat actor to gain entry to a target network. A hacker finds a zero-day through hours, weeks, or months of painstaking effort. He scours through lines of code, probing applications and operating systems to find some weakness, some flaw. He methodically barrages the target application with an array of reverse engineering tools and techniques, forcing the software to reveal a small crack in the defenses that provides him a way to secretly execute code. With this vulnerability in hand, the hacker has a choice. Help the software vendor by providing them information about the vulnerability, or sell it to a broker, a black market vendor of zero-day exploits. The broker compiles an inventory of zero-days to build his reputation on the dark net with one goal: selling his exploits at the highest price. The broker lists these zero-days on secret forums. He acts as a matchmaker between exploit and attacker. The attacker needs an exploit that augments their existing tools and techniques. They use reconnaissance data to select the zero-day exploit that is most likely to compromise their target. Because zero-day exploits are previously unknown, they provide an element of surprise. The attacker incorporates the zero-day exploit into their customized attack, and once the perfect storm of program, process, and payload is concocted, the attack is launched. In a network protected by FireEye, NX series appliances can detect the intrusion, block the attacker, and alert system administrators of the attempted breach. PX series appliances enable the responders to freeze and rewind time, isolating the packet captures from the earliest moments of the attack. Two-way sharing with the Dynamic Threat Intelligence Cloud enables FireEye to analyze the attack. The zero-day discovery team reverse engineers the incident to break down the intricacies of the exploit. Using threat intelligence gathered by FireEye devices and drawing upon years of in-depth knowledge and specialized techniques, they will find the key exploit mechanisms and determine if this particular combination of tactics is a zero-day. If a zero-day is discovered, FireEye notifies the vendor of the vulnerable software and works with them to create a patch. Meanwhile, comprehensive data about the exploit is uploaded to the Dynamic Threat Intelligence Cloud, which immediately notifies every FireEye appliance and protects FireEye's customers. Within 24 hours, the patch is deployed, the public is notified, and customers are protected from a campaign that took threat actors countless hours to craft. When faced with advanced threats, such as zero-day exploits, you need advanced threat protection.
All right, so we saw here about the FireEye, yeah. So FireEye is just an enterprise security, appliance that's made available for enterprises to go move towards that solution. But that's just one particular solution. So there are so many other brands or what you can think of, right? So you can just explore on it. So you just, for the purpose of zero-day attack video, I picked this for you to view, right? So now, going back to what we are looking into the context of defense, right? Defense in depth. When we talk about defense in depth, right? How are we supposed to adopt defense in depth strategy that address the fundamental components of security concerns? So this is where we will talk about the three main components when it comes to people, the processes, and the technology, right? So these are the three scope of our focus, right? When it comes to defense in depth that we're going to focus on. People, getting these people, right? Part of the solution in securing access is what we need to focus, not being part of the problem, right? So that is the first contact that what we want to look at. Second, processes. Any processes that we attempt to establish with repeatable, predictable, and with best practices, that will enable the continuity to build security in a better form for businesses, right? So this is the second focus on the process. Now, when we talk about technology, it's about implementing all necessary security solutions, right? It's not about the much amount that you spend to buy the particular server or particular network devices. No, it's not about the expenses that we use over the brand. It is more about the security features that we need to find within our technological solutions. So when it especially relates to access and identity. Through that preventive controls, detection methods, things can be worked out well, where those components will enable or to optimize protection in a better way. And with that, of course, we can prevent most of those vulnerabilities better. So let's look at each one of this domain, right? So when we talk about people, process, and technology. So people, looking at the involvement of people in today's business environment, Many workers that we find, okay, back to back, like we are not just dealing with our employees, we are dealing with third-party employees, contractors, vendors, right? Interested parties. So the productivity relies on this group of people where they start to use applications. So how are they responding? How are they using all this medium to connect? We talk about integration. We talk about technologies nowadays with smart technologies. But are we focusing in the element, in the scope of security? How vulnerable are they? Are we using the right protocol to communicate? So as you go deeper into the technical aspect of it, this is where it underlies that we are exposed to all these threats, right? So when it comes to people, it's about being part of solution. Are we giving enough training for them to be aware of? Are we giving enough awareness when it comes to the cloud engagement, when it comes to the concerns of security? Now let's go back one step higher. How is our organizations being structured when it comes to the directive mode, from the strategic, towards the tactical, towards the operational? Do we have CISO, or we call it CISO, Chief Information Security Officer? Do we have Chief Information Officer? Do we have Chief Technology Officer? I'm talking about SMEs. Now, we don't have, sometimes, at some point, you don't have that capabilities. So it's time for us to introduce the characters so that when this role is being in place, then we will be able to much faster to respond to all the security concerns, right? So from the organization's perspective towards the end user, all this security is becoming a concern. So we people need to be aware of how the roles and responsibility are being assigned and being executed within our capabilities, right? Enough training is needed. So without enough training or relevance of product knowledge, that's going to disrupt towards a greater level of vulnerability. We're going to expose the behavior. It's going to be different, right? So this is what we are looking in the context of people, how well the people that we are dealing able to work holistically within our organization capability. The guiding principles, talking about guiding principles. What are the principles that we are carrying? It's important. Now let's look into aspect of process. Process is another capabilities that we are looking in the aspect of business as well. Every single business must have a sort of like a model that you can apply over your function, over your services that you offer. You might be offering a product, you might be offering a service to someone, but in what context, what frameworks are we using? What standards are we following? Do we have the right execution plan? Do we have the right funneling? All those concerns comes into the aspect of processes. What are we prioritizing? Have we focused enough on the highest risk to be focused at first? What approach are we using? All these are the concerns when it comes to processes, right? So when relevance of processes are well defined within our organization's capabilities, then of course the execution will be very much in line. The things that we're supposed to do, The policies. Later we will talk about the governance. When we talk about the governance, it will give you more relevance of like what are the fundamental or the baseline, we call it, that we need to move towards the direction, right? Those are the processes. Now, when it comes to technology, security solution, earlier I mentioned security solutions relevant towards the technology, right? So when it comes to technology, it's more about enabling organization to dissect each problem with more holistic end-to-end approach. It's an end-to-end approach. It's not about single solution. It's about the connectivity. We are now in an environment where everything is connected. It's no more independent. It's everything connected. It's very dynamic. It's very real time. We are having AI in place. We are now talking about big data. We are talking about cloud technologies, hybrid technologies. But how are we working the backbone of this technology with security? How it's secure? To what level this security is being placed to harden the environment, right? So that we are not going to become vulnerable. So this is the question that we need to think and respond. So with that idea, I want to give you a moment to think about your point of view when it comes to people, process, and the technology. So let's take a short break, and I will continue back with you in a moment. Back to you, Dinesh. Let's take a look at the next topic that what I want to bring it to your attention. There's another couple of 5 minutes given to me. So unfortunately, so let me be quick in looking at the next content, what I want to share with you, right? So yes, as we are looking at this, let's go into a question. Are you prepared for the next cyber attack? This is what something I want to leave for you to think about it, right? So this is, like I told, it's not just relevant to experts. It's more relevant towards everyone, every individual that you might not be aware of, like, cybersecurity. But it's time for us to respond. It's time for us to look back and see, are we secure? Are we ready to take this challenge and see what we need to do towards solution? So one of the major obstacles to prevent cybercrime, at what we are looking at, is the cybersecurity workforce. I'm talking. There's a lot of opportunities. There are shortage and lack of professionals when we're looking into this industry. So understanding the cybersecurity relevance, the threats, opportunity is very, very much critical to every person. So every person in business, every person individually, across any industry, it is very much important for us to adopt and adapt to the aspect what we can do better to prevent all this crime. So by providing cyber security training relevance, education, solutions in all departments that are relevant to your business, from marketing to sales to IT to IPsec, InfoSec, sorry, you might want to invest, right, into this scope so that cyber threats can be put to a rest, or you can bring it down, the risk towards very minimal risk exposure. Right. So what is the learning that we're going to get through this cybersecurity content that we want to look at? There are many domains. There are up to 8 main key domains in cybersecurity. Right. Namely, I want to just briefly give you the foundation of what are we looking in this cybersecurity learning. You will get exposed to the foundation of compliance, the governance, starting from those aspects of legislation, regulations, right? Because they become the focal point at this, from the strategic level towards the tactical and towards operational. When I mention about this compliance, governance, legislation, what are these all about? It's all about the do's and the don'ts. From the very top level, when you build the policies, when you build a vision, mission towards the directive, how are we laying this idea towards our security relevance? Do we have information security policies? Do we have the right service management policies to run certain things in our capabilities? So that's where we talk about ISO standardization, right? ISO standards. You can talk about ITSM, you can talk about ISMS, you can talk about QMS, you can talk about any standards that are relevant to security. So do we have we adopted any of this standard in our organization? It can be copied. It can be, there's so many frameworks. We got NIST, we have COVID 2019, COVID 5, right? We have PCI DSS, to the nature type of, like, payment gateway, a payment card system, right? Relevance of audits, internal audits. So we need to relook back into this foundation of this governance, how this governance is being laid within our organization capabilities to perform. Starting from there towards security, risk management, towards asset security, towards the architecture, talking about the availability of the service, network, talking about the software assessment, the type of vulnerability assessment that we do, and many more. You get to discover many more about your, about this learning, right? So now we turn our attention to this learning and delivering over the structured cybersecurity domains, of which you will be able to undertake in next step. So to be well prepared for all this type of attack. 61% of cybersecurity professionals believe that their cybersecurity team is understaffed. Imagine there is more opportunity out there for you to get this placement job. So are you prepared first to take up this opportunity? Ask yourself. With that, I'll leave you to think, and thank you very much for being with me today at this very evening. Back to you, Dinesh. Thank you.